You need to provide some context when you say something like that.
The top video.
You need to provide context when you say something. Mike Agerbo here with fellow tech nerds John Biehler, AJ Vickery. We have a pretty cool show today. Later on in the program, we will be chatting with David Usher. He is from a band called Moist. I don't know if you've heard of that band before, John.
Yes, I have.
Yes, you. Well, I've asked a few people, and not everyone knows.
No.
But it's a Canadian band. He is from Montreal.
They were very big in the 90s.
Yes.
And they're kind of on their comeback trail now.
Yeah. I listen to some of their music, a little heavier kind of rock. But he is also into artificial intelligence. And he's got a company that's developing all kinds of AI. We'll be chatting with him. We will also be chatting with a gentleman. His name is Simon Tian. He is the founder behind Fonus. Fonus?
Fonus?
Fonus. This is a new cell phone service that has promised unlimited talk, text, and data. That's right. Not just in Canada, but around the world with no roaming. So you put this one SIM card in, you can get a Canadian number, and for $40 roughly Canadian a month, you get that. And so we've been talking about this for a couple of weeks, and we managed to track Simon down. He's
in Hong Kong.
In Hong Kong, and we will be chatting with him in the next segment, just to see if this is really, it still sounds too good to be true. And you guys, I'm looking at you, John and AJ and Steven, one of our producers. You actually bought one, and you got it free now.
We got a special email. This was the result of a Reddit thread, apparently, where some promises were made. And we got an email from Fonus saying, hey, you're one of the first 500 people to buy into the SIM.
Yeah.
We're going to give you the service free for life.
Well, yeah.
I was skeptical and did not purchase one.
No, you actually said, I'm going to do it. And
Yeah.
so we were recording the show.
Oh, did I?
You
Yeah.
said I was going to do it. And then I was like, yeah, you know, if Mike's going to do it, I'm going to do it. And I just did it while you were doing
And I
the
did
show.
it because you were doing it.
Yeah, I did it. He did it. They did it.
And Steven did it from behind camera.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Yeah. It'll be,
Well, you have nothing to lose now, really. Well, I mean, you had to pay for the SIM,
yeah.
Right.
which is,
We always risk the $30.
yeah. So
Yeah.
I'm still fascinated to see these SIMs arrive and work in a phone.
Yeah.
But anyway, we'll be talking with Simon Tian. We were one of the few tech outlets in the world that have had a chance to actually talk with him. So I'm excited about that. Let's look at some of the tech news this week, guys. And this one I found fascinating. Texting and driving, distracted driving, huge.
Yes.
Huge issue.
Yes.
I think we're all guilty of it.
No.
No.
No. Didn't you get pulled over with 5 cell phones one time? Didn't you?
Well, I did.
Were you playing Pokemon?
I did get pulled over. Yes. I was actually recognized as a
Oh, as AJ from GetConnected.
as a computer person, and they're like, "Why? You're the tech guy."
Why did you have 5 cell phones in your car, on your dash? Like,
I was on my way to a flea market.
Oh, seriously.
No, I don't think it was 5 cell phones, but it was a case of I was demoing a new OnePlus that just came out. I think it's the OnePlus 5. This is a while ago, and I hadn't connected it to the hands-free devices yet in my car. So there you go.
And did you get a ticket?
Yeah, of course, you get a ticket.
Okay. So Australia is taking it to the next level. They, in one jurisdiction, I think New South Wales, they're rolling out artificial intelligence cameras that can detect drivers that are on their phones. So this sounds interesting. So how it works is that I guess they put the camera on a specific street, and it basically takes pictures of every single car going by. And the software, using artificial intelligence, looks through all of those photos and determines whether you are on your cell phone or not. If it deems that you are, it then gets kicked over to a human to make that final call, and then you get a ticket.
It's like, no, man, I was reading a book.
On my phone.
on my phone.
No, real book.
So
It's like photo radar.
a lot of groups are upset about this because it's, again, one of these situations, guilty until proven innocent, essentially. And also privacy groups are concerned, what's happening with all these photos? Well, the police say that if it's determined that you're not on your cell phone, those photos get deleted within the hour. Right.
They get backed up to another hard drive, then deleted off the main hard drive, and
Yes.
they'll exist forever on the internet.
Can I tell you what we're going to see in about a year? A bunch of photos leaked onto the internet from one of these cameras.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Here's the problem. Like, it is a problem. There's no question. Like, it is an absolute problem because people are glued to their phones. Doesn't matter what you're doing, driving included. It happens, right? I mean, I know we don't do it, but it's out there happening. So then you're getting these tickets, but now all these EV vehicles are on the marketplace, and they got giant computer screens on the dashboard.
I knew you're going here. And you know what? I got to be honest. I got a Tesla Model 3. It's got the giant screen.
It's a giant iPad. It's an iPad Pro.
It's bigger than an iPad.
Yeah.
And so the other day I'm driving and I'm like, I want to listen to, this Honeymoon Suite song. Haven't heard it for a while. So I go into the search menu on my screen there while I'm driving, and the keyboard comes up, and I'm just like, honey, moon. And then I'm thinking, this is like way worse than texting and driving.
Exactly.
So you're going to get a ticket now if you drive in Australia.
No, I won't, because I won't have a cell phone in my hand.
You get to roll right through that roadside check and just smile while you're typing away. How does that work?
I don't know.
Guess we'll find out.
Yeah.
Okay, let's move on to the next story here. This one was a little disturbing. Amazon, one of the biggest e-tailers in the world, basically had to take down a bunch of Christmas ornaments that featured Auschwitz on them. So some Auschwitz bottle openers and Christmas ornaments that had pictures of the Nazi concentration camp.
Why would anyone think that was a good idea?
Yeah.
I don't know. The Auschwitz Memorial Museum basically found these and asked Amazon to take them down, rightfully so. But this belays an issue that Amazon does have. You can put some pretty crappy stuff up there, and it takes a while for people or the bots to figure out that it shouldn't be there. I mean, there's just so many marketplace sellers that it's hard to police.
The other thing we should point out, though, these particular ornaments were also kind of like the just-in-time. They don't exist until someone actually orders it.
It's like a T-shirt
Right.
company, yeah.
Yeah, so they're only going to make it when someone puts, chooses that keychain and chooses that photo and goes together as a product. So they didn't actually have a case or a pallet of these things sitting in a warehouse somewhere.
We're going to have to take a break now. When we come back, we're talking Fonus. Or Fonus. I don't know if I'm pronouncing that right. A new cell phone service, $40 a month, Canadian, worldwide, unlimited talks, text, and data. Is it too good to be true? We'll find out. Well, we've been talking a lot about Fonus over the past couple of weeks. It's a mobile service that it's got worldwide coverage, roaming in every country, including Canada, for basically $30 US a month. Unlimited talk, text, and data. On the line, we were fortunate enough to get the founder. His name is Simon Tian. He is the man behind Fonus. Thanks for joining us today, Simon.
Hey, guys.
I wanted to get you on the program. No worries. I wanted to get you on the program because we were very intrigued by this new service, but it sounds too good to be true. How is it possible that you can get this service down to $30 US a month that works worldwide?
Well, it's simple. Look, I'll tell you why it sounds too good to be true. The main reason is because the prices have been way too high for too many years, and especially the Canadian market. Essentially, it works like an oligarchy, where there's essentially handshakes between all the big guys. I won't name them, but the big carriers in Canada, and they've all agreed on certain prices that can guaranteed, big profit margins. Whereas, if you look at a territory like the United States, where there's real competition, between the big guys, the prices are much more reasonable. If you compare our price with just, American prices or East Asian prices for unlimited data and unlimited talk and text, you'll see that it's not that far-fetched. I'm simply showing the market what the real price for unlimited data is.
But don't you still have to do a deal with those companies in Canada, though, even at a wholesale rate?
Yep. Yeah, we do, and we do have deals with. We have a signed deal with a major Canadian carrier, and we also have deals with a major American carrier and also a major Japanese carrier, a major European carrier that also covers Australia and New Zealand. And so, from day one, our service will be available to about 40 countries globally. Roughly, it covers North America, Europe, East Asia, and Oceania. Those are the rough regions that you can roam in.
And when is this expected to launch, Simon?
We're gonna I'm currently in Hong Kong right now, and I literally just yesterday I visited the SIM card manufacturing facility, and our capacity is going to be like 10 million SIM cards per month, and we'll start shipping probably early next week. And we'll use the fastest shipping method, so people will receive their SIM cards I think within 2 weeks, and everyone will get tracking numbers and everything. And as soon as you receive it, you just you activate it through our online portal, and you can pick a number. So you can even if you're in Vancouver, let's say, you can pick a Toronto number. For a 416 number or a Montreal number, a 514 number, and you just pick the portal, and then you activate it, and then the SIM card will have that number, and then you'll have to pay the $30. It's a bit like a prepaid SIM card, so you pay the $30 up front, and then the service gets activated for 1 month, and then you can also cancel the service at any time. There's no contract. So if after 2 months, after you've paid $60, you're like, oh, I want to go back to Fido or Telus or whoever, you're always free to do that.
I'm still a little shocked that you'd be able to offer such a rate in Canada here. Are you losing money on Canadians?
No, I'm not losing money. I'm making. Look, so here's my trick, and it's supposed to be a secret sauce, but it's okay. I can reveal it. So basically, I'm making very very large profit margins on the SIM cards. So the SIM cards are relatively they're very inexpensive to produce. It's on the order of a couple dimes, but it's less than $1. And I'm selling them at $15 a SIM card. So there's a lot of margin there, right? Whereas on the $30 per month unlimited plan, there's still some margin. I'm not losing money, but the margin is very minimal. So that's how the economics are going to work.
And do you have this all set up from a customer support aspect? I mean, at that price, I can only imagine how many people would sign up for it. I mean, it would be in the thousands, if not millions. In Canada, if you can get $40 unlimited data, for example, for roughly around $40 Canadian a month, that would change things dramatically here.
Oh yeah, absolutely. And I think not just in Canada, but in other territories as well. Because the reality is, let's say you're in the U.S. and you're paying roughly, let's say $60 for unlimited. it's still only for the U.S. Like as soon as you walk into another country, there's roaming fees. You got to pay additional fees. In our case, you can travel to New York, you can travel to Paris, you can travel to Shanghai, you can travel to Tokyo. You're still paying $30 a month. There's no additional fees.
And that's phone calls, texting, and most importantly to me, data.
Data, yes, all three. And also, it's basically from and to anywhere. So you can call from any jurisdiction, right? So you can roam anywhere. And you can also call anywhere in the world. So, and all the long distance calls are covered as well.
You mentioned
now,
being. Oh, go ahead.
Yeah, like I know how this sounds like unbelievable, but it's the true, like it's like the $30 per month price point it's only slightly higher than the true actual cost of providing this service. It's only a bit higher so that I can still make like a bit of margin, but it's like that's basically it. Like if I offered it at like $25, I'd be losing money. So this is like I'm just showing the market what like the true cost is. That's all.
Can people port their existing number over?
So in Canada, unfortunately, it's not going to be a supported feature on day one. This is because of multiple layers of technical, like there's a lot of complexities to make it happen. But our team, like our technical team, is confident that it will be supported within 6 months. In other regions of the world, there are regions where portability will be supported right away. But in Canada, it won't be on day one. You'll be able to pick like any number from day one already. There's like a new number.
You mentioned being able to choose a Toronto number if you're a Vancouver. Can I choose a Hong Kong number if I want, or a Texas number if I wanted to?
Yep.
So pretty much anywhere where you're supported, I can choose a number if it's available there.
Exactly. Yes, you can basically go on our website and then you can choose an area code of your choice. So you can pick a country. You can say, okay, I want the United States, and then you pick like a California, like area code, and then boom, there's going to be a whole list of available numbers in that region, and then you can pick that number. And then what's good about the SIM card is also that it's a programmable SIM, meaning if like let's say after 4 months you want to switch your number to like a European number, for example, like let's say you want plus 44, like a London number. Then you can switch it to on the portal, and the SIM card will change.
We're talking with Simon Tian. He is the man behind Fonus, a new mobile world carrier that is offering unlimited text, talking, and data in multiple countries around the world. We're looking forward to actually getting one of these SIM cards and plans in our hands to test it out in the weeks to come. Good luck with this, Simon. Looking forward to checking it out.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, guys. Have a good day.
We come back from the break. More tech to talk here on Get Connected. We've got a fascinating guest with us today to talk about artificial intelligence. A big conference happening in town called Analog.
Yes, Analog.
Put on by the Canadian Media Fund and also Telefilm. We have David Usher. He is many things. I guess you're
many things.
You're a musician, artist, dabbling in artificial intelligence now as well.
Yeah, I've been doing tech for a long time, but this is a new company specifically around visual AI. Yeah.
So many people might know you from your band Moist.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's still going strong.
It's still going strong. We just got off a 25th anniversary tour, doing a bunch of sold out venues all over the place, and we're coming back in June for an arena tour across Canada.
So you have a lot of time on your hands, spare time on your hands to do all these other things.
Not so much. Yeah.
So I want to talk about not only the conference happening, but why you're involved. And you've got a company called Reimagine AI.
Yeah.
And what's that all about?
I mean, I've been involved with tech for a long time, and I do a lot of corporate speaking, keynote speaking about creativity and innovation. I wrote a book around that subject, and how companies can be more creative and innovative as you know, the future is changing so quickly, and people companies need to become more adaptable. And I really wanted to talk about artificial intelligence as well, because if you're really looking into the future and what the new change is going to be, you really have to understand the technology that's coming down. And AI is going to really transform so many processes for businesses. And that led me down the rabbit hole of really getting into studying AI. And I really wanted to play with the technology more. And as I got into that, I built a company around it.
Because you're not cool enough already that you're like in a band.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know what to say to that. Yeah.
I got some spare time. I'm going to start an AI company. So what kind of things are you doing?
We essentially build visual AI. So we build essentially any kind of visualization, any kind of avatar on the front end, and we build a technology stack on the back end that integrates interactive and artificial intelligence technologies. What we're finding now is as AI goes from being researched at the big universities and at the big Googles and Facebooks and Amazons, now it's becoming programmatic, and so creators can use that in their creative interactions in their stacks to build all sorts of different things that they couldn't before. And what we do is we build all the connective tissue that connects all of these technologies, and then we can build any personalized character on the back end and any visualization on the front.
So how is the artificial intelligence involved then? You're talking about avatars or these things talking with you?
You can talk to them, they can talk back to you, they can have any character, they can see you, they can, and there's much, I mean, we integrate things like they know you by name, facial recognition, chat, voice synthesis, computer vision, all kinds of different AI techs that are coming out now that allow you to do many different things that you couldn't before.
The conference happening, Analog, what will you be talking about there?
We'll actually have one of our AIs up live
Okay.
that I'll be talking to for the audience, so they can sort of see some of the interactions.
So you're talking to it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then we'll be doing essentially a Q&A all around artificial intelligence, what artificial intelligence means in sort of this new hybrid creativity, as well as a little about perspectives on the future of AI, both positive and negative.
You're an artist. Are you coming at it from an artist standpoint or a business standpoint or a programming standpoint?
It's a mix of all of those things.
Okay.
It really is an integration of art and science. As voices become sort of ubiquitous, it's everywhere. Our hypothesis as a company is that most brands or corporate properties are going to want their own visualizations of those AIs. And because only 50% of communication is actually through the actual words, the rest is visual. A lot of communication is going to be transmitted that way through what the AIs look like, how they see you, and those interactions, those micro interactions.
Should we be frightened?
Because
people are, because
course.
we have like Elon Musk and other tech leaders saying we need to be careful about artificial intelligence.
I absolutely think there need to be more voices involved with the conversation of what's going to happen in the future with AI. Right now, the majority of the voices are coming from researchers and universities or from the big AI companies themselves, the big, the Googles and the Facebooks and the Amazons. We need a lot more people involved in the conversation because definitely AI is going to change the face of industry. It really is. We're going to see shifts in it. It's not going to say, no, I'm not saying that all the jobs are going to disappear, but what we're going to see is a shift in who's doing the jobs and where they're being done. So there's going to be this disruption in, I like to talk about when I'm describing this, talk about the energy industry. When clean energy came in, it wasn't the coal miners that got the jobs. New jobs were created, but they were created somewhere else for someone else.
Yeah.
And that's the same thing that's going to happen here. If you look at the disruption of the music business, that's a great example of what a digital disruption looks like to an industry. Now, visualize artificial intelligence as being a disruptor of all industries, where it's not one, don't think of AI as one massive singular AI, some super intelligence. Instead, think of it as a million little tiny AI programs that come in and sort of work behind the scenes. And slowly they take the place of what humans used to do in small little pieces. But if you start to add those up, it starts to become something real. And that's where it's not one industry, it's many industries, right? Your accounting program's starting to use it, your writing program starts to use it. And that doesn't affect one industry, that affects all industries.
My accounting program still says I have no money.
That's right. I can't help you with that.
It's hyper intelligent. Sorry, John.
What do you think about there's a conversation happening right now around AI where as these programs and personas get more advanced, they're actually creating content.
Yeah.
And who owns that content?
Yeah, that is something that we deal with. I built something called with Google Brain out of Montreal. We're working on something called Lyric AI, which is an artificial intelligence agent that can write song lyrics with humans.
You're done.
Yeah. Well, but you learn a lot from doing those kind of things. You learn a lot, and what you learn is that complex creativity is very difficult for artificial intelligence. It's good at very specific things. It's good when the answer is yes and no. It's very good. When it's subjective, it's a bit more difficult. And when it's when you need stacks and stacks of different inputs from different places to do this amalgamation of work and then have context to that, it's much more difficult. So, you learn that there's a lot of possibility to AI, but there are a lot of limitations as well.
Yeah.
But what I would say is we're at the very beginning of this, and there are literally billions and billions of dollars being poured into creating these new AIs that are faster, better, cheaper, and more diverse. And so we're going to see rapid change for sure.
You being a musician, you have lived and are probably still living through the major disruption to the music industry. Do you think that experience gives you a leg up in this new disruption?
I think what it does is give me a perspective, because I lived through a disruption from the inside out. I watched how a new technology came and disrupts an industry. So I watched how the leaders in those industries faced the disruption that was coming. And most of them didn't understand the disruption, so they couldn't react to it. And when they did try to react to it, the systems weren't built into their companies to react to disruption. They hadn't built in those creative systems that could deal with new technology and really know how to confront those and to change with the times. They tried, but it was very difficult, because I always talk about creative innovation being something you can't slap on at the last minute when you need it. You have to build it into your culture, right? You have to build it into the people as individuals, and you have to build it into the corporate structure that you build. And if you don't do that in advance, you're not building a ship that can be turned easily. You're building something that cannot be turned. Those things need to be built in now to all these businesses.
That's difficult to get that message to businesses, isn't it? Like I look at, a lot of these retailers, for example, trying to get into the e-commerce space to compete against like the Amazons. And, if it wasn't part of their core being, they've been struggling with that. Like, how are businesses going to adapt to AI?
It's going to be very difficult, but the most you can hope for is that you put the systems and teams in place that are looking at all of the new technology that comes out and really figuring out what parts of those new technologies are right for your company. Testing and trying things, trying to find out where you should be going. But you can only really do it by getting involved. Right? You can't know if a technology is right for you if you don't try it or you don't play with it. Or you should have a team in place that's playing with all these new things, really figuring out what's going to work for you. Because I always say it's never really about throwing out everything you know. It's much more about, as a business, you have an expertise, but you want to be using the latest and greatest things that are coming out as well. It's programmatic, right? You want to be using the latest and greatest things so you have you're ready for the next phase. Because there is some company, your competitor, someone coming up behind you that is going to do that.
So your business, Reimagine AI, like how do you make money? Like what's your goal?
We do a couple of things. We build large scale visualizations for companies, for brands that want their own branded AI, that want their own characters that can talk about their business in the way they want it to be talked about. Not just in a service oriented way, but more in that has a personality.
And where do they live?
They can live anywhere.
Okay.
It's a ubiquitous platform. It can live on a 2D screen, in 3D. It can live in AR, VR. Mostly we build on screens right now.
Yeah.
It can live as projection. Right now, our AI is at the Canada Science and Technology Museum training for the next 5 months. And then with those guys, we're planning a 3,000 square foot touring exhibit with all sorts of different AIs.
And how do you have all this time?
I don't know. As I've been doing this set of interviews, like these interviews today, I'm like, how do I do this? I don't know. And next week I go into write with the band, so that's really fun.
Very cool. There was one project that John told me about, Ophelia.
Yes.
Tell us about that.
Ophelia is our first prototype of an AI that we've put into the world to really learn. And so she was at the Phi Center for the last 5 months, and now she's at the Canada Science and Technology Museum, as I just said. Tomorrow I'll be bringing her out at the Analog Conference. And essentially it's just the first visualization, the first conversation tree. And we really don't connect our AIs to the internet for information retrieval, because we're trying to train them on a different set of conversations than you would have with Siri or Alexa. which are much more information retrieval bots. You know, how many cups of sugar in a kilogram, those kind of things, right? Or what's the recipe for lasagna? What we're trying to do is train our AIs to be much more conversational, be interested in love and death and the future. And
How do you train that?
Well, I love the demo that I saw, the video where she asked you about, or you asked her about how do you love, and she doesn't have any memory. So
how do you love?
And it surprised you. The answer she gave you was really clever.
She's learning more as she goes along, and our conceptually we're building these open universe conversations where you can come up and talk to an AI about anything. The difficulty with that is that there's no previous context or history with the user, so it's very unpredictable what the user will ask, right? But what we're finding is we're building out this universal tree, and then we can take that conversation tree and resculpt the character. Her character is actually she's quite a sad being, just because she's a bit trapped, and that's how her
trapped in her box.
Trapped in her, in her own galaxy, in her own universe.
But for that AI to be something, a conversationalist, like how much human interaction on the programming level does there have to be to make that happen?
A lot.
Yeah.
And we use NLP, natural language processing, on the front end, but we script a lot of the back end, simply because you don't want your AIs, like no customer wants their AIs to be racist or sexist. And there's a tendency of them to do that. We implement some modules of True AI in, which is modules that means True AI is AI on the front end and AI on the output as well. And even those that we've implemented, we have to be really careful with, because they tend to skew racist or sexist. I don't know why it is, because they're basically using data sets from the internet. Right?
Is that because the humans they're talking to are trying to lead them down that
It's
path?
not because the humans that they're talking to are necessarily trying to lead them there. It's because the data sets that they're pulling from for their responses, when they're doing whatever their algorithm is, however it's sticking together. We're using one right now from Mila, the Montreal Institute of Learning Algorithms, and it's a poetry bot where you can write a poem with an AI. And so we integrate that into our own chat. We integrate their module. And even that one, sometimes it says things, and I'm like, oh God. So what you're trying to do is you've got these keywords that you
David
have to.
Usher's racist.
I know. I'm trying to avoid that. Yeah.
Very cool. So what's the future for you then?
Well, we're building this company, and we're building all sorts of crazy AIs. So that's really fun.
Yeah.
And then I'm working on a new album.
Are you going to replace all the band members with AI?
If I could. No. Just kidding, boys.
We got to tweet that.
Yeah,
we got to tweet that. Thank you for joining us today.
Thank you very much.
That was David Usher. He is with a company called, again,
Reimagine AI.
Reimagine AI. Is there a website?
Reimagine.ai.
That's pretty simple. And from the band Moist. And you're probably doing 20 other things, and I feel really lazy now. Let's talk about internet security. I always tell people now that you should have some type of internet security, not so much for the viruses, but just to keep track of bad websites, phishing scams, things like that. There's some big players out there, obviously Symantec, there's Avast, AVG. Well, now there's an issue with some of those. Avast and AVG browser extensions apparently are spying on Chrome and Firefox users. What's happening?
Yeah, so basically when you install Avast or AVG as the standalone application, one thing it does by default, it actually will install browser extensions into your browsers to help extend the net, if you will, the protective net for these tools. But one thing that was discovered recently was that these particular browser extensions are actually reporting and capturing and sending back home a lot more information than people probably are comfortable with. So some of the data that's being sent includes the full URL of the page you're on, including any kind of query. So when you type in a search string, it gets added to the URL at the top, and all that information gets sent back to them. A unique user identifier. So this can actually be traced back to your specific account with these software companies and or your specific machine. The page title, the referring website you came from, how you got to that page by entering the address directly, using a bookmark or clicking a link, and a value that tells whether that tells them whether you visited this page before. So they can paint a pretty clear picture of your browser history from all the data that these things are collecting. In addition to your country code, your browser name and exact version number, as well as your operating system and version number. So that's a pretty big pile of data for visiting one website.
And this is going back to the security company that you essentially hired
Right.
to protect you.
To protect you.
Yeah.
You're sending them all this information that
Yeah.
you didn't know. So there's a few here. Avast Online Security, AVG Online Security, Avast Safe Price, and AVG Safe Price. That's kind of scary.
Yeah. So what you're going to want to do, unless you don't care about your privacy, is uninstall these browser extensions if you use Chrome or Firefox.
Which most people do. But I guess a lot of Apple users would be using Safari.
Perhaps.
You know what really bugs me? You know when you have to agree to the terms before downloading a software or installing it or whatever? Like, they're so hard to read.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They should make a little program that just reads you the important part.
I think there's actually an app that does that.
Yeah.
It interprets the legalese and makes it more human friendly.
Yeah.
Still, that's a whole other step that no one's going to take. So, John, again, essentially, if you've got these security programs, Avast, AVG, disable them.
Yeah, or at least consider what you're giving them. If it matters to you, or if you'd rather be, more protected, that's fine. But I just don't see any value in these companies having this level of detail about your browsing history.
We're going to have to take a break. When we come back, it's time for a new segment that we're going to try, the Get Connected Mailbag. We're going to take your questions and answer them on the air. We're going to try a new segment this week called the Mailbag. We're going to take questions that we get from our viewers. What email address can they send questions to?
They should use our feedback form on our website.
At getconnectedmedia.com. We just might answer your question on the show here. First one is from Lorraine. I would like a digital photo frame so I can display photos of my grandkids. One that I can also update via the cloud or through the internet. It's a good question. There's a lot of digital photo frames that have come and go over the years. Some of the basic features is that they take memory cards or a USB stick. But some of them also have internet connectivity. Any favorites? No.
Well, we talked about this off air, and I've migrated all my stuff away from a photo frame per se, and I just use my Amazon Echo Show. I have an album in Amazon Photos, which is free if you have Prime, and you can put your stuff there, and you can actually share that with anybody else too. So, and then every time you look at your display that's on your kitchen counter or your bedside table, you'll see all these photos as your backdrop.
Yeah, it's interesting because I think the idea of whether it's the Nest Hub or the Echo Show, like those devices that are smart with the screens built into them, I think that's really going to be that next evolution of getting these types of things into the regular household. But some people still have an issue with that sort of privacy, in terms of having a device that's listening to you all the time. And there are some just photo frame onlys that are on the marketplace.
Yeah, one that I've tried and worked quite well. I've got one for my parents called Nix Play, Nix Play, and they've got a number of different photo frames, just regular ones that you stick a memory card or USB stick into, but also internet connected ones. Mm-hmm. And through an app, once you've got it hooked up in your loved one's home, you can send it photos.
Yes.
Which
so
is
you
cool.
can send them photos.
Yeah. So the challenge with some of these digital photo frames is that, are they going to be around in 5 years?
Yeah.
Because if they're using if they've got some sort of cloud service, if they go out of business, that cloud service is dead. Mm-hmm. So for example, remember Kodak? I bought my parents a Kodak digital picture frame back 10 years ago, might have been 12 years ago. And Kodak basically got out of the photo frame business. And eventually their cloud service died.
Yeah.
So now I just have to bring memory cards. So not a big issue, but definitely something to think about. So again, Nix Play is probably the best standalone one that I've come across. But to your point, AJ, a lot of these new smart speakers have screens built into them, like the Google Nest Hub and the Max version and the Echo Shows, which you have and love.
Yep.
And they're pretty easy to.
They're very easy to set up.
Looks like that's all the time we have left, guys. Don't forget to check out our podcasts of this show and video podcast at getconnectedmedia.com. This week, we're giving away an Epson EcoTank printer. Yes, this thing is amazing. It has enough ink in it to last for 2 years, so you don't have to keep going to get new ink cartridges because it doesn't take them. You just refill it with special ink bottles for about $60.
It's pretty awesome.
I love it. I have one, and it has changed my life. Again, the Epson EcoTank printer at getconnectedmedia.com.
Sign up for our newsletter to enter.
Yeah, that's the catch.
Yeah.
Because we want to send you things. Again, the Epson EcoTank printer at getconnectedmedia.com, a fantastic contest. Got to check it out. This is Mike, AJ, and John signing off. We'll see you again next time.